everything about Combs' alleged sex trafficking activities. Although she's not been arrested or charged, the federal indictment accuses Combs of using high-ranking supervisors to facilitate and cover up the abuse, with Karam allegedly organizing freak-offs involving sex workers and raids on Diddy's mansions, seized narcotics with over 1,000 bottles. In a separate lawsuit, Little Rod, Karam is compared to Ghislaine Maxwell, to Sean Combs, Jeffrey Epstein, and accused of ordering sex workers for Combs. Little Rod also alleges she made staff carry drugs for Combs. Okay. At this point, everyone knows Diddy's done.
It has been reported that an individual has allegedly been sentenced to life imprisonment, meaning they will spend the remainder of their life in prison. Meanwhile, Diddy could potentially face several years behind bars due to serious legal charges or allegations in an ongoing case.
There's really no deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the drug charges and the sex trafficking. So we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof before you go down that route.
Footage reveals Diddy being arrested at a Manhattan hotel last week. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Key is reporting live from the scene of the incident.
Now, the Sean Diddy Combs investigation, new surveillance video shows Combs being taken into custody in a Manhattan hotel last week. Our senior investigative
Diddy will remain in jail after a judge denied his bail request, rejecting his appeal for release while awaiting further legal proceedings. A former warden has raised concerns about Diddy's safety and well-being in jail, citing potential risks from the conditions or threats he might face while incarcerated.
American rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been denied bail as he awaits trial on federal charges. Combs pleaded not guilty to racketeering, sex trafficking and transporting for prostitution in a New York court. Prosecutors allege the 54-year-old created a criminal enterprise through his business empire, which he has allegedly run since about 2008. They claim Combs gave victims a variety of party drugs during extended sexual performances, and that he used his business associates, staff and other personnel to help conceal his abuse. His lawyer says he'll appeal the decision to hold the rapper without bail. If convicted, Combs faces a minimum of 15 years.
Diddy's alleged crimes, including racketeering and physical misconduct, have cast a shadow over his music legacy. Many express disbelief at his actions and acknowledge the likelihood of a long-term prison sentence.
You say his fame makes him a target.
Yes, in my humble estimation, his life, his safety is in jeopardy in any correctional lockup right now. If it is true, as reported, that he is housed in the special housing unit, it's important to note that the special housing unit is a lockdown, 24-hour lockdown unit. The MDC Brooklyn is a high-rise. The vast majority of the floors are general population floors. But the special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown facility. So this is for Mr. Combs' protection. His incredible worldwide celebrity combined with the allegations, the charges now, and indictment, of course, of acts of violence against women make him a very attractive target.
All right.
They need to safeguard.
Serious accusations against Diddy include allegations of trafficking, forced labor, and coercion. Reports suggest that he allegedly used power, manipulation, and intimidation to exploit women for his personal gain.
It's bad boy for life. We all love a bad boy, don't we? Yeah? Not a sex trafficker, we don't. This has just ruined so many good songs for me. Biggie's album has P. Diddy all throughout it, doing his little ad-libs that was shit, but we allowed it. More money, more problems will never sound the same again. And the D to the A to the DDY. It's fucked. Yeah, we'll have a bit of a laugh, don't we, before we get into the miserable, disgusting crimes he's really actually committed. So yeah, I think this is like my fourth video on P. Diddy, because for whatever reason, the man cannot stop committing crimes. And he was actually very truthful when he said bad boy for life, because life is exactly what he's looking at, or at least 25 to life. Because this man, after reading the indictment on him, he's fucked. He is absolutely fucked. He is going from that beautiful mansion he owns straight to a miserable, grotty little jail cell. And you know what? He's such a fucking prick. He really deserves it. So far, he's been charged with racketeering, which is basically criminal activities designed to gain profit disguised as legitimate business deals. Sex trafficking by fraud, force, or coercion. This is the practice of illegally transporting people for sexual exploitation. And then also transporting people to engage in prostitution. And honestly, reading all of this, it's just like a slam dunk.
Talia Graves has filed a lawsuit alleging that Diddy and his bodyguard drugged, restrained, and assaulted her in 2001. While also filming the incident. She is represented by prominent attorney Gloria Allred, renowned for handling high-profile cases.
Including his freak-offs. What a word that's become, honestly. And just to give you a little list of exactly what him and his employees got up to here, we've got sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotic offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Wow. Like, you know what? You're P. Diddy. You got all the money in the world. You don't need to do any of this. But for some people, the more powerful they get, the more dark their imagination becomes and the more they want to push the boundaries to do the craziest fucked up shit possible. And this is what happens when a psychopath gets this much power. Even those words coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, it wasn't enough for him to get consenting, prostitutes who do this by trade. What a trade. Do you know what I mean? I don't remember that in my apprenticeship. But people who do this for a living anyway. It was fun for him to take people who would never ordinarily have been a prostitute into that so that they could become his toys. And by the sounds of it, P. Diddy and his employees would do whatever it took to get women into his inner circle to participate in whatever fucked up shit he was into. He would use threats. He would use intimidation. He would even use the offer of a romantic relationship, that lover boy method that Andrew Tate
Diddy
made
Combs' arrest on charges of physical abuse and racketeering has sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community, sparking widespread debates about his actions. The allegations also include claims of drug abuse and manipulation involving his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
With more accusations against the music mogul, Talia Graves claims in a civil lawsuit that Combs and a bodyguard drugged, bound, and raped her in 2001 and filmed the incident. Graves is represented by famed litigator Gloria Allred, who is no stranger to representing women in high-profile cases, okay? Here's a list. Speaking of Gloria Allred here, okay? Here's a list of just some of the women she's represented in the past. Look at this list right here. O.J. Simpson trial, remember that Scott Peterson trial, Tiger Woods scandal, Bill Cosby scandal, Anthony Weiner, former representative out of New York. Remember that? All of that stuff happened. That's who she's represented. Allred represented Amber Frey, the girlfriend of Scott Peterson, who was convicted of killing his wife and unborn son. And most notably, she represented more than half of the 50-plus women who've accused Bill Cosby of rape and molestation.
It has been reported that an individual has allegedly been sentenced to life imprisonment, meaning they will spend the remainder of their life in prison. Meanwhile, Diddy could potentially face several years behind bars due to serious legal charges or allegations in an ongoing case.
The arrest on sexual abuse and racketeering charges of Sean Combs, known alternately as Puffy or Diddy, sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world and is sparking vigorous debates online about who knew what, when, and for how long, and who else might have been involved. Combs insists he's innocent, but a judge rejected his lawyer's bail proposal because he had concerns that Combs might try to tamper with witnesses. Combs' downfall was years in the making and involved the abuse of Cassie Ventura, his former girlfriend, and others. According to friend of the show Teray, who has new reporting on what led to the downfall of Diddy, Combs' descent into darkness was due in part to, quote, drug abuse. It's central to why he's now facing a mountain of serious charges. When Diddy and Cassie were together, he dragged Cassie down into addiction. After she left him, someone said, she went to rehab to get control of her life, which led to a process of healing. Not just from the drugs, but from the abuse. From there, she found the courage to speak up. Joining me now is Teray, who, as I mentioned, has been reporting about Diddy on his Substack, Culture Fries, and on his Teray Show podcast. Teray, my friend, talk about more that you learned about what led to Diddy's downfall.
Well, Cassie was recording an album for about 10 years. She made a ton of songs. She made collabs. She had producers. She thought she was actually working on an album. that was ultimately a giant pacifier to keep her happy while Diddy was actually using her for other things.
Footage reveals Diddy being arrested at a Manhattan hotel last week. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Key is reporting live from the scene of the incident.
Racketeering implies that there are more than one person involved, though. Is there, and that is the question a lot of people are asking, is who else is involved in this?
There are other people within Diddy's operation who we can point to as playing a major role as far as security, as far as procuring things, as far as getting people into his orbit. I would imagine that many of those people are currently talking to federal law enforcement, trying to save themselves from going to prison. Others are sitting there nervous. Not every